I'm Carol Cusio. I live in Beaumont, Texas, and I served in Zambia from 2006 to 2008. In Southeast Texas, not a whole lot of people know much about Peace Corps, so I feel like I've broadened people's horizons by raising understanding and teaching people what Peace Corps is all about, and brought a little bit of Zambia to Southeast Texas from that.
My name is Raymond Palco. I served in Zambia from 2006 to 2008, and I live in Groves, Texas. My Peace Corps work would be benefiting the state of Texas. I currently work at the Southeast Texas Food Bank. It's pretty full confidence of mine that my Peace Corps service was the deciding factor that helps me to get my job there. I know my boss had previously employed volunteers and had great experiences with them. And so I work at the food bank now. I first did community nutrition education for people eligible for food stamps, and that tied in closely to my work in Zambia. And in that role, I traveled all over our 8-county service area, educating different groups, anywhere from young children to senior citizens, about healthy eating within the confines of a budget, which is something that I had to figure out how to do in my village in Zambia. And currently have transitioned over into another position there where I'm coordinating a program helping teachers in high poverty school districts access free school supplies for their children. And again, it's really just using a lot of the tools, a lot of the intangibles I learned from Peace Corps about rolling with the punches, finding ways to make things work when you didn't have all the tools you needed. And I've taken that to contribute now to the food bank, which is a great organization that really leads in the fight against poverty here in the 8-county area of Southeast Texas.
My name is Linda Kanzler. I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Uganda during the years 1967, 1968, and 1969. Broadened my horizons quite a bit. I had traveled a great deal before, but living in another culture is just very difficult to explain. I looked up one day when I was walking down the sidewalk in the capital of Kampala, and I was the only white person. It gave me insight into how people here in our country have felt when they were in the minority. We have that here in our Southeast Texas area, and I think that it has helped me bridge some gaps in our culture and has given me understanding into perhaps how people feel and how they react to things.
John Blake. I served in Brigade Afghanistan from 1971 to 74. As next, my Peace Corps experience has helped the state of Texas export a tremendous amount of food to foreign countries, because my job is directly involved with the quality control and export of food stuffs from this state through grain elevators and rice mills. We fill up the rice bags at the rice mill that has from the American people on it that we give to foreign countries. And I'm making sure that the rice that we put in this bag sent to another country meets the standards that are fit for human consumption, as far as quality control and correct weight, so on and so forth. Now, I inspect the ships and the containers that we load this grain into also for cleanliness, so that they get a product that America can be proud of.
My name is John Shirk. I live in Houston, Texas. I served in the Peace Corps in Morocco from 1998 to 2001. It has helped me to address issues that have been raised in my own Christian experience, in my own Christian setting, in the church, things like that. And I have been able to counter false premises about Islam. I was able to share that it is a much more peaceful religion than what some people have understood it to be, and that has been my biggest contribution that I have been able to make due to Peace Corps. I would have to also add that I have been doing research in the area of the adult learner, and I'm working on a paper now on faith dissonance in the adult learner, and how that my experience with Islam has helped me to show how that dissonance in Islam contributes to their own development of human personality, and how it coincides with my own. I was with the Sufi, saw the Sufis in the caves, how that they set themselves aside to grasp an understanding of what it means to be a person of faith, and the same thing applies here in the United States. And my being able to share that has been one of the most pleasing and satisfactory things in my life since I came back from Morocco.
Okay, my name is Stephanie Wilson. I was a volunteer in the Gambia, West Africa, from 83 to 84. I worked in rural areas in cooperatives, and I worked both with men's groups and income-generating projects to support numeracy programs, and in women's groups in teaching how to have credit unions and save money and make. Well, the Peace Corps definitely changed my life in what areas I wanted to work in. When I came back, my first thing was I had to get a job, and I needed to make some money, so I ended up getting a job in a restaurant. The first week, the manager where I was training, this was near the University of Houston, and she said, oh, you know, I'm getting some of the kids from University of Houston coming in now to apply for a job because they see you here. We normally just got the Texas Southern University students. And I'm like, well, why? And she says, well, because you're white. And I'm like, well, so? And she's like, well, no one else that works here is white. And I'm like, I had no idea. The groups here in Houston, we have gotten together and we do a lot of things for the community. We've built habitat homes. We have worked at different festivals to help the festivals, but also to help promote Peace Corps. We go into Rice University, University of Houston, Texas Southern. We have volunteers that travel all the way to Beaumont to help recruit for the Peace Corps. My life changed. I went back and got a master's degree in social work because my Peace Corps experience had me wanting to do more to help society. So I worked in and I got offered a job. I was medical social worker, got offered a job at MD Anderson, got offered a job at Ben Taub. Ben Taub is our charity hospital. I chose Ben Taub because I felt like I had the more impact or could help people more, because the people there have no insurance, had no benefits. People at MD Anderson tended to have insurance or had the American Cancer Society that could help them. So I wouldn't have gone in those directions had it not been for the Peace Corps. You know, I ended up living overseas for a long time because of my husband's work. When I returned, I ended up going into education. And I teach in middle school now, and one of the classes I teach is a world cultures class for 6th graders. And I'm able to share with these 6th graders what it's like to live in other countries and that people are the same no matter where you live.
My name is Mark Husfeld. I'd served in Peace Corps Panama between 205 and 207. I'm currently living here in College Station, going to Texas A&M University, and actually have enrolled in the Masters International program, so I'm signing up for a second stint. Don't know where they're going to send me yet, but I'm excited to find out. Being a Texas citizen and bordering Mexico, Spanish-speaking skills were probably one of the top skills that I learned living in Panama. But more than that, Peace Corps, it changes your worldview. It makes you appreciate what we have here as American citizens, and I think it just sort of raises the cognizance of what work there is out there to be done and the challenges that you have to overcome to get it done.
My name is Nicole Cressy. I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Guatemala from 2006 to 2009, and I did small business development in a very rural town in the middle of nowhere, Guatemala, and I loved it.
I'm Kathy Carson. I served in Sierra Leone from 1990 to 92. I am a Dallas resident, have been since 1979. When I was a Peace Corps volunteer, I came back one Christmas, the second Christmas, because I was extending for a third year. So I wanted to come home and see my family because we'd had a new grandchild while I was gone. And I talked to my church about how badly the little church I was going to needed new hymnals and new prayer books, because they were down to 6 prayer books and like 3 hymnals. So I collected money and we bought prayer books and hymnals for the little church in Lunsar. And the interesting thing is that when Sierra Leone went into civil unrest, then some of the members of the church collected all those prayer books, all the hymnals, and took them home with them. When it reconvened 10 years later, they still had the same number that they'd collected. So they didn't lose something that precious that our church had given them. So, you know, they saw it as important for what America had brought to them also. And I came home, I had also taught 8th grade English language while I was there, and I'm not having a clue about how to teach English. And so I picked up an English as a certification English as a second language certification, and then I taught refugees. Most of them were Vietnamese. A lot of the people that came in out of Desert Storm were coming through our program because they again were refugees. I've taught 6th grade Spanish speakers how to write. I'm now volunteering and teaching adult women who are trying to get their GED program, and all of my students are Hispanic women that are looking to do something better. I'm teaching them basic writing in a GED program. So, you know, I think that Peace Corps has just permeated everything that I've done over the last 20 years, and about where do I volunteer and where do I give back.
Ecuador, 1964 to 1966. Well, the most obvious thing is my entire career was spent teaching schools. And in fact, I got my very first job from the principal because he said, already had another former Peace Corps volunteer on staff, and he said, if you're half as good, I knew I wanted you. But it gave me such an understanding of people. I also, because I was in South America, learned Spanish, and through the years I perfected that, and certainly here in the 21st century in Texas, we can see the advantage of not only knowing Spanish, but not being afraid of being bilingual. It concerns me that some people are they feel that perhaps, quote, everybody should speak English, and it's just good to know that that's not necessarily so.
My name's Greg Engel, and I served in Korea from 1980 to 81 when our program in Korea came to an end. Sort of by virtue of me talking about it, I teach at the University of Texas, and I teach graduate students in global policy studies. And during our classes, when I'm teaching about international organizations, we talk about the Peace Corps and some of the work that the Peace Corps does and some of the issues surrounding being a Peace Corps volunteer or running a Peace Corps office or program in other countries. But I also talk about it on a one-on-one basis with a lot of students, more than those just at the LBJ school, who come to me and want to know what are the possibilities for careers involving working in foreign countries. And my answer is very consistent. I mean, in addition to sort of laying out the range of possible careers that one might have, I point to the fact that Peace Corps is really an excellent way to establish one's credentials, that it's a gold standard of international service, that once you've been in the Peace Corps, no one is going to question your ability to live and work under some of the toughest circumstances. And I know that a lot of the students I talk to have not only considered the Peace Corps, but gone into the Peace Corps. In addition to that, because I am an advocate of the Peace Corps, I was able to work with the Peace Corps in Washington with Aaron Williams, the director, who's an acquaintance of mine from my foreign service career, a friend, to get the Masters International program, the Peace Corps Masters International program here at the LBJ School of the University of Texas. So that's a real formal link between Texas now and the Peace Corps. In addition to that, I invited Aaron out last year for March 1st, Peace Corps Day. He was with us all day. He gave a large talk at the university and then held several small events at the LBJ school. He talked to the university radio, and so there it was a question of just sort of utilizing some contacts I had in a fortuitous circumstance. But I think mostly, just doing what volunteers should be doing in terms of their third goal of bringing their service back to the United States. That's what you do. People listen and they're interested in that because, frankly, I think many people really don't know. They vaguely know that there's a Peace Corps out there, but they don't know what it's doing. And when they find out what it's doing, it definitely sparks their interest.
It's Andy Friend. I am originally from Houston, Texas, and I served in El Salvador in the Rural Health and Sanitation Program from 2001 to 2000. To being able to engage the population. From a public health standpoint, you really want to be able to engage the population, sort of know where they're coming from, why they have the problems they have. Latinos are amongst the highest level of diabetes, and diabetes and obesity is a huge problem in the United States now. And so knowing sort of where they came from, who you're dealing with, who is your client or who is your population, and is very, very important.
My name is Katie Prentice, and I served in the Republic of Latvia from 2000 to 2002. I live here in San Antonio, Texas now, and I'm a librarian in higher education. Here in San Antonio, our group has done a variety of activities. We participate every year in the Asian Festival. We talk about the Peace Corps. We introduce people, young people, people who are thinking about retiring into Peace Corps. And so it matters to our community because we're here. We're present, we're active as we can be. We've done Habitat for Humanity. We try to get out to as many activities as we can. One year we did Earth Day, put up a table at the big city event, and to just talk about the world and how it matters to all of us. A variety of us have done the activities involving elementary schools, and last year I think we had a handful of us spoke to young kids about the world. And here in San Antonio I think that really matters because educationally and socioeconomically, we've got a ways to go in a lot of our communities. And as Peace Corps volunteers, returned Peace Corps volunteers, we can impact our community because we've seen the world and we can bring it home to people who struggle to get, pretty far out of town.
My name is Edwin Price. I served in Sarawak. It was Sarawak 1 from 1962 to 1964. My job was a 4-H club organizer, along with most of we strongly believe that what we do overseas is a direct benefit to Texas, always. In fact, I just had a discussion yesterday. I happen to be the director of the Norman Borlaug Institute for International Agriculture, based here in Texas, based here at Texas A&M. Our job is to assist other nations in their development through teaching, research, and extension, the mission of the land-grant university. And of course, our land-grant university is funded by the people of the state of Texas. And sometimes they may ask, well, why am I funding an institution to help people in other countries? And we make the case eloquently, I think, that what we do through Texas A&M in other countries and helping people to feed themselves has a direct, immediate benefit to Texas. Not only, first of all, through the friends we might make, through the trade connections we might make, through the ability of others, through their development, to become true partners in a world marketplace. And even we share technology. We learn a lot, even though we may be going to introduce a new maize variety or to help with a farming systems approach or help to improve utilization of biologically diverse resources. We often learn something and can bring something home. And so technologies go both ways. And plant diseases, we learn a lot while we're overseas. The resistance that our crops have to foreign plant diseases are usually derived from the home of those plants. As you may know, there's only one plant native to America, that's sunflower. Everything else, the genetics lies outside the U.S. So if we want to feed ourselves even, we must rely upon the science and technology and the genetics that are resident in foreign countries. So it's a wide area of common ground between the interests of Texas and the interests of our partners in other countries.